Gary McKinnon. Gary McKinnon is a Scottish systems administrator who hacked into nearly 100 US military and NASA computers, all from his girlfriend's aunt's house in London. Let's stop and think about that. In a time when dial-up was still common, this one guy, using a basic Windows machine and remote desktop software, slipped past Pentagon-level defenses. What was he looking for? Aliens. Literally. He believed the US government was hiding free energy technology and proof of extraterrestrials, and he was determined to expose it. But here's the twist. He didn't break in using elite hacker tools. He exploited lazy passwords and open ports. It's like someone walking into a bank through the back door, not by force, but because someone forgot to lock it. McKinnon didn't steal money or plant malware. He left messages like, "Your security is crap," and deleted some files to cover his tracks. Still, the US called it the biggest military computer hack of all time and tried to extradite him for years. He faced up to 70 years in prison, but public pressure, concerns about his mental health, and political opposition in the UK blocked the extradition. He never served a day behind bars. Instead, his case became a symbol of how one determined outsider, without weapons, without a crew, could shake the world's most powerful government just by logging in. WannaCry. WannaCry was not just a virus. It was a wake-up call to every government on Earth. In May 2017, computers across 150 countries suddenly froze. Hospitals in the UK had to cancel surgeries. ATMs stopped working. Train stations, telecom providers, entire networks paralyzed. A blinking screen demanded ransom in Bitcoin. The name of the virus? WannaCry. What made it terrifying wasn't just the scale. It was how it spread, like wildfire, without human interaction. Open a file? Nope. Click a bad link? Not needed. If one vulnerable machine was online, WannaCry would slither in, scan the network, and jump to others instantly. The scariest part? It used a weapon created by the US government. The NSA had developed an exploit called Eternal Blue to spy on enemies, but they lost control of it. Hackers known as the Shadow Brokers leaked it online, and a mysterious group, later linked to North Korea, turned it into ransomware. Suddenly, a tool meant for espionage was holding hospitals hostage. Over 300,000 machines were hit in days. The damage ran into billions. WannaCry wasn't just a hack. It was a global reminder that when governments hoard digital weapons, they risk those same weapons being used against civilians. If you're not patching your systems, you're not just being lazy, you're leaving the door open for chaos. Mafia Boy. Mafia Boy was a Canadian teenager who brought down some of the biggest websites in the world with a dial-up connection. In the year 2000, this 15-year-old, real name Michael Kelsey, launched a series of DDoS attacks that temporarily crashed CNN, eBay, Amazon, Yahoo, and even the website of the FBI. Just to be clear, a high schooler shut down the early internet's giants during class breaks. His tool? A simple script called Rivolta, meaning riot in Italian. He infected dozens of university servers, then used them like a zombie army to flood targets with traffic. The result? Entire websites dropped offline. No money lost, just global panic. Because if a kid could do this, who else could? Mafia Boy wasn't part of some activist group. He wasn't demanding justice or making political statements. He just wanted to flex online dominance. He once said, "I was basically untouchable. Nobody could stop me." And for a while, he was right. But then the FBI and Canadian police caught on. They tracked him down, not through his code, but because he bragged too much in hacker chat rooms. Classic rookie move. He was arrested, sentenced to 8 months in a youth detention center, and banned from the internet for a year. That's right, no internet. For a hacker, that's worse than jail. Mafia Boy proved that it didn't take state-level resources to cause chaos. All it took was time, curiosity, and a dial-up modem. The message was loud and clear. Cybersecurity wasn't ready. Lulzsec. Lulzsec was a rebellious hacker group that broke into corporations, governments, and law enforcement agencies just for laughs. Born from the anonymous movement, Lulzsec wasn't after money. They simply wanted to mock the government, ridicule powerful institutions, and show off their elite computer skills. Their hacks were bold and blatant. The attack on Sony leaked millions of user accounts. Their breach into the CIA and FBI databases exposed numerous classified documents, causing major disruption for the government. More importantly, after every hack, Lulzsec would flex it on social media like a glorious achievement, receiving massive public attention. No politics, no ideology. It was all just for laughs. Even multi-layered security systems worth billions were easily bypassed by Lulzsec. Their expert use of VPNs and proxies made them untraceable. It wasn't until one member, known as Sabu, got caught for flexing too much that police began tracking down the rest, using dirty tricks typical of state authorities. Though they only lasted 50 days, Lulzsec shook many many systems and exposed countless security flaws in shame. Albert Gonzalez. Albert Gonzalez stole the information of millions of credit cards using nothing more than a laptop connected to Wi-Fi. 170 million accounts from TJ Maxx, Heartland Payment Systems, and 7-Eleven were hacked in a way that couldn't be simpler. Gonzalez targeted weakly secured Wi-Fi networks or outdated servers. Once inside, he installed packet sniffers to capture the numbers on credit cards whenever users made payments. With this data in hand, Gonzalez used fake identities to withdraw cash, spend freely, and even sell card info on shady forums, raking in millions of dollars. It was his lavish lifestyle, spending money he didn't earn, that ultimately led to his downfall, earning him a 20-year sentence. This remains the harshest punishment ever given to a hacker in U.S. history. Edward Snowden. Edward Snowden is the man who turned the U.S. government's surveillance secrets into global headlines. In 2013, Snowden, a contractor working for the NSA, copied thousands of classified documents and handed them to journalists. What those files revealed was chilling. The U.S. wasn't just spying on foreign enemies, it was collecting phone records, emails, and data from millions of ordinary people, including its own citizens. You know those vague terms and conditions nobody reads? Snowden showed that behind those were secret programs like PRISM, allowing the NSA to pull data directly from tech giants like Google, Apple, and Facebook, all under the radar, with almost no public oversight. Snowden didn't just leak files, he changed the global conversation. Suddenly, terms like mass surveillance and metadata became mainstream. Governments got caught lying, and tech companies had to answer uncomfortable questions. Was he a hero or traitor? Depends who you ask. The US charged him under the Espionage Act. He fled to Hong Kong, then to Russia, where he remains in exile. But whether you love or hate him, Snowden exposed something most people felt deep down but couldn't prove, that the internet was never truly private. He forced governments to defend their actions. He pushed tech firms to build better encryption, and he reminded the public that digital freedom isn't a default. It's something you have to fight for. Kevin Mitnick. Kevin Mitnick was once the FBI's most wanted cybercriminal, not because he stole money, but because he made powerful people feel exposed. He didn't rely on fancy code. His weapon of choice? A phone call. He mastered something called social engineering, basically hacking people, not computers. He'd call a company, pretend to be an employee, and casually ask for a password or internal access. And it worked, over and over. One time, he tricked a Motorola employee into giving him source code for a secret flip phone. Another time, he infiltrated Sun Microsystems, just by faking trust and sounding convincing. He once hacked into Pacific Bell's system while being watched by federal agents who still couldn't figure out where he was. Mitnick became a ghost in the machine. He could clone cell phones, monitor calls, and access networks without leaving footprints. For years, the government couldn't catch him, and when they finally did in 1995, they were so paranoid they kept him in solitary confinement, fearing he could launch a nuke with a phone call, which wasn't even possible. He later turned legit, helping companies strengthen their defenses. But his legacy sticks. He made governments realize their biggest vulnerability isn't always code, it's people. You can build a digital fortress, but it takes just one helpful employee on a call to open the gates.